I want to ask you guys, have you seen anything? Is there any tangible work right now that has stopped something this administration is doing? Because I've not seen it. The courts are not going to hold. I've seen some things with the courts. I don't think they're going to hold. But I want the audience to know, and I want to know.
But to this point, they have, and including protests, right? When they started to, let's go back to the McCain flip, when he went down to the floor and thumbs down, right? That was as a result of overwhelming shows of outrage by the American people saying, you about to kick me off my health care? It is no longer a theoretical fight. No. I went back that far just to come forward, which is to say this administration has announced departures from the status quo at Veterans Affairs with cuts. They've come forward, frankly, with scrubbing websites of certain information, and after certain outcries have had to put it back. They've attempted to shutter departments that judges have forced their hand on, and they've had to reverse course or bring it to a complete and total halt. Now, yes, the administration is flouting the law in some of these instances, but yes, also in some of these instances, and many of them, these judges are holding accountable those lawyers that are in their courtrooms who have a obligation under the law as officers of the court to, one, speak truth, but also to follow the mandates of the court or suffer thy consequences. They may never be able to put Donald Trump behind bars, but they can put Pam Bondi behind bars.
You think they will?
Or in the federal system. I'm just saying there are consequences for flouting the law and flouting the jurisdiction of the judges and the courts. So, but also, I get why everyone doesn't know the stories in which we've been successful. They don't want us to think that there is a way to beating them. So they're not elevating the stories in which they've been beat. They've been clapped back, beat, and contained quite a bit. It hasn't so far been able to stop them from what they're doing wholesale, but we've paused them, and the courts have stopped them in their track on many of those efforts. I just think what we cannot do is make the road for them easy. When you lie down and you say, well, they're going to do what they're going to do. Well, guess what? We've got enough evidence that they've changed course or been forced to change course or have completely retreated in some instances. And that's really how I feel, y'all, about this budget that the Republicans, I'm not changing topic. I just want to pile on here.
I know, but I know you want to talk about the budget. So we can talk about it here, or we can get into it on the mini pod, because I do want to.
I'll simply say 17.5 million people they are right now trying to cut off from having access to health care.
Yeah.
And for those individuals that they're cutting off from having access to health care, they're also in this legislation closing the door to them being able to go on the exchange, which came through Obamacare, and purchase their own insurance there. So if you are not awake to the threats that are coming for our seniors and those individuals who are beneficiaries of Medicaid, which, by the way, seniors also benefit from Medicaid as well as Medicare, but Medicaid as well, especially those in poverty.
Yeah.
And then let me tell you, just to draw the line complete, those of us who have insurance, when that 17.5 so million people are removed if they have their way, and they still access health care, except this time not through prevention and ongoing maintenance, but through the emergency room, those costs get passed on by the insurers directly to us. The reason our prices will go up, the reason our premiums, what we have to pay before they kick in, will increase is because they are now going to have to make space to get back the money for the services that they're now being forced to provide through emergency rooms and emergency room visits. They've got to extract that cost somewhere. And where did they go? Those of us who have insurance will pay more to pay for those that they just kicked off of insurance.
Well, can I
so
ask
nobody's getting away here.
But you're just so I'm clear, you're saying the thing that has stopped the Trump administration are the courts. The courts have stopped something, and protests. When you say protest, you mean like literally people in the street,
on the streets, people saying, calling their members, showing up and saying
some pages on the website.
Well, not just website. I don't mean just website. They've also. So if they intended to cut staff at Veterans Affairs as one other example, right? Bringing your level of service to a screeching halt, right? You won't get callbacks. You can't get scheduled for 6 months, and your issue is urgent and right now. but nobody can see to it because there's nobody there to see to it. What did they do? They backtrack on it. When there were certain museums, certain government buildings, the Department of Peace, they tried to go in, wholesale shut down. Just this week, the judge said, you don't have jurisdiction over that. You don't even own the building. The building doesn't even belong to the federal government. Get out of there. Well, what did they have to do? They had to get out of there, and they were accused of trespassing because the workers shut them down and said, no, you cannot break into this building.
But I think people are asking, what are we asking them to do?
Protest.
Protest. So hit the streets, happening, protest.
I'm just giving one example that people have disqualified the effect and the impact of good old-fashioned raising your voice, making calls, and showing up and telling your story.
Because, black people been like, let them get out there and protest. Like, I'm not. And I think we're coming out of that.
If they're coming up my street, down my driveway, trying to take my stuff, I ain't waiting on nobody to defend me. I'm going out there for myself.
Yeah, same.
I'll stop. Angela, I know Angela's trying to get in.
Got something.
Yeah, a few things. One is, I really would love for us to stop saying that black people overall are not protesting. It's just not true.
I agree.
I like, let's just start there. Like, I'm not protesting in that way. I'm focused on making sure that we're all connected and we know how to survive collectively. But there are black people who are actively protesting at all of these major activations. So let's start there. The second thing I want to say is there are some courts, even some judges, to the risk of being threatened of arrest, who are showing up to in their required duty as an official branch of government to challenge and to take on and to hold accountable this administration. And I don't want to belittle that, including, surprise, surprise, Clarence Thomas. The hoochie actually showed up and said some good the other day in court. So I want to just be clear about the fact that there are some people that are saying, enough is enough. John Roberts, who they're challenging. And then I also want to acknowledge that there are members of Congress and a mayor that we had on just last week who are showing up in their official capacities, just doing business as normal, just engaging in their oversight responsibilities, just ensuring that, when you have a migrant facility, the one that's in Newark, where LaMonica McIver is now being threatened with an assault charge for showing up.
They charged her. She's not threatened. They charged her.
But I'm saying I think that it could very well get thrown out. Right? I'm clear about the fact it is a
Which
false.
we should update. Ras Baraka's was.
It is a false charge. I'm talking about LaMonica McIver right now.
No. I was just saying as update.
Ras Baraka's was thrown out.
All right. So on LaMonica McIver, a false charge that she is now facing, where she will have to have an attorney. She will have to raise funds to fight this charge merely in her oversight capacity. After she was allegedly violent with officers where there's no documentation or proof of this, she gets the tour for the very thing that she showed up to do with other members of Congress, which is in their full oversight responsibility. What they really don't want you to know is the migrants in that facility, going full circle to Tiff's point, are not just brown people. They are black and brown people. So y'all can try to make it an us versus them as much as you want to. You're going to miss out on what it means to protect us. If they are willing to lock up the mayor of Newark, if they are willing to press charges against a sitting member of Congress, it ain't no black or brown body that is safe in this country. And we will do better if we all come together. And that is the point from last week. That is the point from this week. I don't know how many black examples y'all need, but if you don't start paying attention to it, I'm telling you, you're not safe. These people took an oath and are being charged and arrested because they're doing their duties of the oath they took. That is what's at stake. And if you don't understand what time it is, I don't know. Maybe we need to get Lawrence Fishburne to come on here and yell, wake up.
The thing is, Angela, when they're arresting lawmakers, it's like, what does that mean for the everyday person? And those are some of the comments, right? Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. But those are some of the comments, too, that people were saying, like, if we go out there and protest, we on the front lines. I think it's an important point that you made about this narrative that, like, no black people are doing anything. I definitely don't want to echo that because that's not true. But this was a lot of the comments. Like, no.
Y'all on my nerves, then. How about that? Y'all on my nerves.
I give people space because in their mind, their rest is their protest, but it's not stopping anything. And
What are you? Let me hold on, Tiff, because this pissed me off too. You guys, there's a difference between rest and self-care. Rest is certainly a form of self-care. But if you are watching your full neighbors sink, starve, be unhoused, not be able to pay bills, your rest is selfish. And somebody needs to tell you that. I don't know what that is. I ain't been raised around no black folks like that. And I don't want y'all nowhere near me. So sleep your ass off, but stay away from me. Because I don't know what time y'all are on. I'm not about to watch all these people suffer who look like me to take a goddamn nap. Like, I'm just not doing that. Native Land Pod is a production of iHeart Radio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeart Radio, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.